Do not judge people by their appearance, because as soon as you do that just once, you rob yourself of chances to be worthy of people who are honest and trustworthy. I will tell you a tale about a boy who was more than he seemed and full of joy. He pranked and joked and had wonderful times and never had to worry if his poems rhymed. Once upon a time there was a boy named Brian. He would run everywhere he would go. Anywhere, doesn't matter if it was to school or to a friend's house, he would run. But eventually that gave him knee pain. The knee pain got so bad that the doctors told him that he could not run or swim or ride a bike for a whole year if he wanted to get better. So he started to spend a lot of time with his friend Bob, who loved model airplanes more than anything. When Brian and Bob got to high school, Brian was able to run again, so he started racing bicycles. And his hair grew out long and he got a tan. However, the librarian at the high school, Rudge, did not know this. Rudge liked to judge. She thought that he did drugs. Once there was an incident where Brian and Bob were in the library, and they were sitting there talking, and Rudge didn't like talking in the library, so she came over to them, all in a rage, and told them, "Why don't you two just take off?" So, Bob, being a comedian, he said, pilot to tower, permission to take off." And Brian, always loving a joke, said, tower to pilot, permission granted." So then Bob went, and he started to walk toward the door. Rudge's face grew so red when Brian opened the door for him, and they went out the door pretending to be airplanes. Needless to say, Rudge did not like those two boys. But it all escalated one day when Brian was in English class, and his English teacher told him to go to the library to work on a project. So he went to the library, and even though he wasn't doing anything, the librarian didn't like him. So she told him to get out. So he was angry because he hadn't been doing anything wrong. So he kicked the door open, and the door accidentally hit a person and knocked him down. So while Brian was trying to help up this person, Rudge got angry and started to run after him, and her face grew so red that Brian decided to play one last joke. He ran through the hallways in view of the principal's office and his English classroom, yelling, "Everyone run for your lives! Rudge has gone insane!" Now, of course, this did not help her impression of him. However, by the end of his high school career, he had to go to the library to get his little card checked off to make sure he had no library books missing. This card said all of his grades on it and was basically his resume. So he went to the library and handed this card to Rudge, and she said, "Oh, this should be interesting." And she looked at the card, and she kept staring at it, and she looked at it for a very long time before she signed it off and gave it back, because he had no library books missing. She did not know that he was a straight A student for all of high school in very advanced courses, and she judged him wrongly.